Back live tonight here on In Focus. Water and Sanitation Minister Senzo Mchunu has reinforced his commitment to ensuring all South Africans have access to safe supply. It comes as the Blue Drop report was released today, showing that nearly half of the country's water is unsafe for consumption. Mchunu joins us now for more on this. Mchunu, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this evening.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you and to the viewers.
So 2 years and maybe some change now in the job. The first thing, of course, what you have done, one could say, in your administration was to reinstate this blue and no drop report to come back after 9 years of being absent. Now, it is showing certainly that since 2014, the performance of municipal wastewater treatment systems has deteriorated, the drinking water quality has declined, and there's been an increase in non-revenue water since this report was last issued. And I'm sure you're going to say, yes, this is what you have found out, and you are working on it, and this is what you're working to fix.
Yes, but I want to say that we believe that the resuscitation of the drops assessments helps in the sense that you get to know exactly where you are at what time, and from that time you know your baseline from which you've got to work yourself up. When we stopped doing these assessments, all the years that you are referring to, we never knew where we were. We never knew what to correct, what not to correct, both on drinking water quality and on effluence. Nor did we know also on the third one, that is the no drop, that is we didn't know our level of success in conserving water in South Africa. And therefore, for these reasons, we said we can't work from a situation where we don't know anything about a delicate matter like water. We rather resuscitate, we rather get whatever results, good or bad, but we will know our base. And we will tell South Africa that this is the situation factually, and from this base, we are going forward. We can't next year get worse than what we already have received, because we know where to improve, how far to improve. That is the advantage of the results, of having these results. So I'm not merely saying, yes, we're going to improve. We are going to use this base and improve. And moreover, the results are telling you which municipalities. And the results are also important in the sense that municipalities themselves, as water service authorities, all 144 of them that are water service authorities, are going to look at the results on their own, study on their own. And I can't see any mayor, I can't see any council that will say we don't care about this, because the people themselves that are being serviced by the water service authorities now know what the situation is, and therefore they are going to hold them and all of us accountable.
But take us into your confidence, because I seem to see you going through these municipalities, seeing the challenges. We were in the Northwest just the other week, where they are telling us that, yes, you've been in the province, you know what the challenges are, and as far as, for example, the non-infrastructure factors, like the lack of skilled staff, the lack of proper processes being put in place, which points to incompetence. Yet, your contribution so far is to say, well, I'm going to bring some skilled people from national to come work with you. We'll bring some experts. We'll form a task team of some sort that's going to help us deal with these issues. I wonder, is there a reason why you do not get into that situation and say, well, you have no capacity, you're fired. Just go, right? You're incompetent, you're not good at your work. Just go. We don't need to be working with you. We'll second somebody who's able to come and do this job and do it perfectly.
Remember, the sphere that we're talking about in terms of the law is a separate sphere altogether, and it's independent of us at national. Moreover, I'm not in local government, I'm in water. What then happens is let me explain what we go to municipalities and do from the perspective of water. We go to a municipality, we assess the situation in terms of demand and supply, we get the results, we engage, we look at their capacity, we look at projects that would have delivered water, maybe they have not been completed over what time, what are the causes and all of that. Our first thing that we do, we act in a manner that will resolve the problems themselves. To say, people are not getting water here, you only have 50-something or 40-something that are getting water. What's the potential for this area to get water? And then we swing our attention to that, so that within the reasonable time, we are on trenches, we are on laying pipes, we pump water to people. That's the first thing, because access to water is our primary mandate. And then the next thing we'll do, of course, is to say, what is the kind of infrastructure that is diminishing the municipality's ability to deliver water, or that could enable them to deliver better? What is their capacity to do their work, understand and execute? And then we get into those matters. Now, in the case of Sekhukhune, where I was saying we are going to send people, it's for a particular purpose. We now know throughout South Africa what the fundamental problem is, and that is what we're dealing with. The fundamental problem is that, one, your infrastructure is old and is no longer optimally functional. We know that this has to do with underground pipes in most urban areas, and it has to do with pumps, that is pump stations, because for people to get water further and further, you need to pump further and further, and you use pump stations for that purpose. You can't have one pump station and pump for 3, 4, 5 villages, and you think that water will reach all of them. And then the next thing is your reservoirs, so that you pump and you store water, so that when there's load shedding or any other thing, people still continue to get water. Now, all of these are hampered by the fact that municipalities that are water service authorities have insisted in South Africa that they would be both authorities, water service authorities, and water service providers.
Yeah.
Now, it has proven beyond any doubt that is not working. That model is not working. We are now in a model that says, stay on as a water service authority in terms of the constitution and the law, but look for another entity or whoever to be a service provider. It could be a municipality next door that is doing well. It could be a water board. It could be an NGO. It could be any other entity that has capacity and competence and professionalism and knowledge to do this task. Appoint them, we give them the license, and they deliver. You as an authority, you monitor, and you have an SLA that you, on the basis of which you are this is on the basis of which you are monitoring the performance on your agreement. We issue a license to such as appointed by you as a water service authority, and then as soon as they fail to perform, we withdraw the license. You look for another person. But we think that that model will work better than the current dispensation, which has proven beyond any doubt, and we can't continue to lament and point and explain problems to people. We are not appointed to do that. We are appointed to provide solutions and provide water in particular. And therefore, we are now saying we're getting to a different era. Right now, there are several negotiations in the country between municipalities and prospective or potential service providers, and they are doing exactly. Some have already have. But now that it's a deliberate effort on our side to separate the two, we think that we should be understood. There should be a good understanding between us and municipalities, because we are not taking their authority, we are not taking their power. All we are saying, even the service itself, all we are saying is that you can't, because if you look for a municipal manager, you are not looking for somebody who has qualifications in water or so on. You are just looking for a manager to manage, to preside over the municipality.
Yeah.
Now, water is becoming more and more of a specialized service, and one that requires dedication and understanding.
Yeah, it's because people would have expected, Mchunu, that when you said heads will roll, that you're going to get to the municipality and say, well, municipal manager, you're the first one to go because you have failed, for example, to get the required people with the necessary skills and qualification.
What we are saying, if I hear you well, is that what we are saying is that municipalities need to start looking at themselves and say, where I have a certain number of posts that are dedicated for water and sanitation, perhaps I need to reserve a certain number of posts for for qualitative employment. In other words, for qualitative employees. I mean, if you, for an example, you have 185 municipal workers on water and sanitation alone, but none of them have a degree in civil engineering, or at least any other engineering close to that one, like BTEC and so on. But the number is big, but it's not so much of a number that works here. Yes, in terms of the population and size, but it's not so much. You need to reserve certain posts. You rather reduce the number in favor of certain posts, 5, 6, I'm making an example, so that you have a quality contingent high up there, say 2 or 3, depending on the size, who are engineers.
Right.
Then they will lead the rest, rather than have no one qualified, and people are just getting to work for water by mere number of years they've been in employment of the municipality in the section of water and sanitation. Is proving that this is not working.
How does this fit into the bigger plan of a national water infrastructure resource agency, to a water economic regulator and reconfigured water boards?
Now, the agency is not going to get into the space of a reticulation, that is water to households, to my household and your household, in as much as water boards are not doing so. What the agency is going to do, it is going to look after water resources in the country, rivers and dams, build, and then operate, and then maintain, so that you don't have deterioration of these infrastructure resources for South Africa on water. That will be their speciality. And the more the agency gets around, the more they intensify their knowledge and understanding and their skill on this scientific, I'm talking about scientific skill, the more they deepen. Remember, we've got to compete in the whole continent. We've got to compete with the best in the world, east, west, north, and south. We've got to stand on our own, in our own name as South Africa, that when it comes to water, just on the infrastructure side of it, we are best. That is what we are looking at. And then the regulator, the economic regulator, they are going to help us intensify our understanding and interact and engage when decisions have to be made on tariffs. Now, at the moment, yes, we have criteria that we're using on raw water ourselves, and then the water boards on treated water, and finally the municipalities on provision, and they charge tariffs. But we have had to appoint a regulator independent of us, who will do studies throughout year, right around the year, and actually make comparisons and even say, no, look, this is the range of tariffs for water that is reasonable, that is not going to cost, that is not going to put pressure on people for this long. Yes, there are expenses of abstraction and treating and so on. So they will make at least a framework within which decisions will be taken, as opposed to what is happening now. At municipal level, municipalities are not charging the same. And in some cases, there are gaps that make you see that there is possibility of unfairness here, where people charge in order to make just money and cover up for other things that they have via water. And by the way, it is even more important to do so, to have a regulator, because it's a fact that municipalities in particular, the money they collect from water services, they bill you and me, and they collect money, but that money doesn't, all of it, go to water to replenish services and infrastructure, and even in maintenance, even on training people. They use it for other things like salaries, like harms, like a second car for the mayor, and all of that. Now, what this dispensation is going to do, in fact, even ourselves, before that dispensation, we're now going to say, now, we need to ring fence via Treasury that money collected from water services must be ring fenced and be retained, so that we reinvest it, so that we quicken the process of rolling out infrastructure. Because it's not so much that there is no money, but it's a question of how money that is available and could be available is used. Even the grants that we give municipalities, we know if you look at 5 years, you start now counting this financial year back 5 years, and you look at what money has done in a given municipality, you will come to the conclusion that, but it looks like there's more money that we have received than what you have used it for anything. And it is the case, you go 10 years, you go 20 years. Otherwise, if we don't start to take those actions, it will take us all these years, and there will be no difference.
Somebody would be listening to the conversation and say, well, I mean, you're talking of the agency, it doesn't get to reticulation. You're talking of boards, they don't get to reticulation. You're talking of an economic regulator, somebody who's just really managing tariffs and ensuring that money is being fenced. We'll say the minister, well, Minister, you're tinkering on the periphery. You're not dealing with the actual issue where the tire hits the tar. If you're looking at your Blue Drop report, it tells you that, well, non-revenue water losses are on the increase. And municipalities are not beginning to act like non-revenue water is on the increase. I'll give you time. Let's think about that, and we'll try and tackle it when we come back from the break. Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senzo Mchunu, then with us. You can join in the conversation. I want to hear your views on 072-110-5584. The minister being in there just over 2 years in that post. What do you make of the contribution and the moves that he has been making as far as water and sanitation is concerned? Minister Senzo Mchunu with us, having just delivered his drop reports, blue, green, and no drop, and making commitments to ensure that they are now going to act on the findings of those reports. So I was saying, Minister, if somebody looks at us, I know we were talking maybe about issues tinkering on the periphery, but if I give you an example, for example, of a pipe that is seemingly leaking, right, in a particular suburb, it's not leaking in a household, because at least if it's leaking in a household, you have a way of penalizing that particular household. It will show up in the bill that your pipe has been leaking, and it will cost you something. But it is leaking on the municipal infrastructure. But it could take up to 6 months before there is a response to that particular leak. And people are looking at that and saying, you're telling us we are a water-scarce country, but municipalities are not behaving like we are a water-scarce country, because there should be at least a time set for when that particular pipe should be restored?
Yes, on the question of the agency and the commission dealing with the regulator commission, I was answering your question directly, and then I went on to say that water service authorities are going to remain there because they are constitutionally provided for and in terms of the legislation. But what we now are tackling is their decline and their inability via incapacity of one way or the other in terms of providing water and sanitation services in particular. Now, what is it that we are doing? I want to sharpen that point. Apart from continuing to give them the grants and issuing directives when they fail in one way or the other, and even taking them to court, there is something else that we're doing. We're reviewing Section 63 among other sections, for instance, Water Services Act. We're reviewing Section 63 to say the Minister of Water and Sanitation must be able to intervene directly when a municipality is failing, as opposed to what is happening now. At the moment, I can't intervene directly. I do have Section 63, but I need to use it in conjunction with Section 139, which must be imposed by a provincial government. Now, if a provincial government is not imposing 139, I can't impose 63. It then becomes superfluous. And yet, the problem will persist on the ground. And people will ask the very question that you're asking: where is DWS in this instance? But DWS can't intervene because of the nature of the laws at the moment. We're reviewing that so that that is streamlined, so that people don't.
So, in simple terms, for people to understand what you're saying, is that unless a municipality has been placed under administration, you yourself cannot intervene with Section 63.
I can only intervene via support. There's a section 154, where you go and engage the municipality, you offer support, and they can decline, they can accept. You can push in, you can put in direct pressure and so on. Of course, people have a right to water. There is one way of insisting that there needs to be intervention, because you can't keep on. People have a right, regardless of your problems upstairs and so on and so on. They need to have water and have water all the time and clean water.
Right.
And that is what we need to understand as the bottom line. And then, therefore, 154 does help in enabling DWS and ourselves to intervene. But it's not like it's not like as powerful as 63. Because 63, you go direct. You still engage, but you go direct. This one, you persuade, you offer support, and so on. It works.
So you want to bypass the part that says minister may in consultation with the province. You want to say, as a minister, you should be able to go directly without having to go bypass the province with Section 139.
It's not so much about bypassing anyone, but it's about, when you go to a municipality and I say, you are failing to do 1, 2, 3, and you are breaching constitutional rights of people and so on. A municipality can still tell you that, look, I'm a water service authority here, and I'm the provider here. This is what happened in Tswane some time ago. Rooiwal was failing, we could see it, we wanted to intervene. Mayor then said, of Tswane said, no, I'm the authority. If you want to help, we want your money, but not you. And that was the language. So we needed the Gauteng government to intervene. They tried, they were challenged in court, and the challenge won. And so you were back to square one. Now, you need Section 63 as an instrument, legal instrument, through which you can intervene without being questioned. But of course, you talk. You will indicate your intentions. You will get there. You will do things without too much indirect ways and so on and so on. But the issue is this. people, DWS is the only department in the country that is called Department of Water and Sanitation. Minister of Water or Ministry of Water and Sanitation is the only ministry that is called. Now, in the municipalities, you have stakeholders. Much as they are given authority by law, but they are a stakeholder overall. When things come to the bottom line, you can't sit in Pretoria as Minister of Water and Sanitation and say, go to the mayor, even if nothing works there. And that is why there's this designation, Minister of Water and Sanitation. So it was an anomaly that you are Minister of Water or you are Ministry of Water, but you can't take all responsibility. Having stakeholders is one thing, but when things don't work, you must be able to say the bus stop with me.
Right.
And you should use 63 to do that, to say, indeed, the buck stops with me, even before the president. That's what you need to do. And we're streamlining that. It is going to work. We're convinced that it is going to work. But we won't be chauvinists, and we won't undermine. We will recognize and respect that we have water service authorities, and they are a stakeholder, and they are a very important stakeholder providing this essential service to the people on the ground. But the day things don't work, 63 is there, we go direct. That is the difference that is going to be. And then you are talking about non-revenue water. We're very, very, very concerned about this because in the case, municipalities are leaking quite a lot of water. And then what happens is that pressure gets piled either on a water board to say, please give us more water, pump more bulk water, because we are shortchanging people here. We don't have enough water. You even have people marching these days saying, no, Rand Water must pump more water to municipalities in Gauteng. But they totally overlook the issue of more than 30% of water that gets leaked on average in Gauteng. Now, what we are saying, it would be irresponsible to pump more treated water at expense. 32% of that just leaks directly to the ground. That's not economic, because you'll be charging people, because you buy water, for instance, from a water board, and then you leak a portion of that, a substantial portion, but you charge people full amount of your expenses. So it doesn't work like it. There has to be economies of scale. There has to be sustainability of the whole sector. Yeah. So that's why we say, please, let's close non-revenue, or let's reduce it to the minimum, if at all anything. And this is very important that the water sector tackles decisively once and for all.
Minister, I appreciate your time. Let's leave it there. Thank you very much for coming on this evening. Minister of Water and Sanitation there, Senzo Mchunu. Appreciate your time.